How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome. So, welcome to Songwriter Souls.
Yes, very glad you could have me.
And so, I have to start out with, who are you and how old are you?
My name is Kiersi Joli. I am 15 years old.
15 years old, and I saw you perform at the, oh my gosh, gone?
The local.
No, the
Yes.
local. Oh my gosh. But that's what happens when great people play great music. You kind of get blown away. You did a great job on stage, but you were part of the freak show.
Yes, I was. That's right.
Yeah, so what was it like at 15 years old to be on stage at the freak show?
It was amazing. I mean, the local in town has such a big rep for Nashville, and it was amazing just to get up there and be playing and listening to other people who have been doing this for so much longer, and just to learn from them, hearing them songs and meeting them.
And, at 15 years old, how long have you been playing instruments?
I have been, well, that's kind of a long story.
It is. That's right.
I started piano when I was 3. I got the harmonicas when I was 6 years old, and I had no clue what they were. And I started playing it just randomly, not very well. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the sound it made, how it felt to play it. And I just wanted to keep learning it from there. And then I got my guitar when I was 11, and started learning everything I could and putting them together.
So you've got 3 instruments, and the 4th is the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you fit all that in to a 15-year-old schedule to kind of hone that craft?
Well, I'm a night owl. I love staying up late. And so a lot of the times with my schoolwork, I'll be doing schoolwork throughout the day, and I also do jiu-jitsu, martial arts. And so I'll go there, and when I come home, I take time and I really focus on my music, and I'll practice. And I live in the upstairs part of our house, and so I'll just be up there where no one can hear me, and I'll just kind of mess around or practice with whatever I can, whenever I can.
So the martial arts side, I want to talk about that for a second, because I think there's a kind of a direct correlation to the practice of martial arts and the commitment side of things. How do you feel about martial arts, and what's your commitment to the martial arts side?
So I believe for jiu-jitsu, for me, it has been such a big change in the life, because I've always been really sporty, loved doing all the sports, and then I found jiu-jitsu, and it felt like just such a community, and training, learning to protect yourself, and doing that, and really having to focus on learning one move and practicing that one move over and over and over again. It helped me think about like practicing my music and everything like that, like you said, the correlation, and committing myself to not only doing what I love in a music sense, but also getting out there and still doing what I love as a 15-year-old.
Well, there's also something to be said with a release time. So you've got a martial arts that's totally different than music, but has a commitment level to it, because you have to hone that skill too, right? But, that release away from music, do you feel like when you plug back into the music, you're kind of re-energized?
Yes, depending on how hard I've trained before then. But I mean, it's always good to, like, whenever you're focused on something, like, take a few minutes and step back. And so that was always nice for me, because with school and music, jiu-jitsu was always just a good time to step back and really kind of like let myself breathe, I guess. And then coming back and focusing more on it, I just had more of a focus to be able to stick in that lane and really hone in on practicing.
See, I think you've got like three people in one body working right now. You've got the school, you've got the martial arts side, and then you've got the musician vocalist, and you've got all this other music going on, the writing side, so the creative side. But it's kind of funny because you've got school and the martial arts, and they're both creative thinking, and then you've got the creative thinking that you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put those three components together, how do you manage your schoolwork and do the other two extremely well like you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm homeschooled,
Mm-hmm.
and so it helps with a very flexible schedule. And I spend maybe 4 hours a day doing schoolwork, and if I'm needing to take a break, I'll kind of just sit back, maybe listen to music or start practicing music, and then I'll get back into it. And I really kind of take the first few hours of my day and do schoolwork, and then if I have time before jiu-jitsu, I'll do some music, and then I'll go, and then I'll come back and finish music, and go back to that.
So how much time do you put into music every day?
At least an hour is what I try to do. Most of the time it'll run over a little bit because I have the guitar and the harmonica and separate things that I'm working on for both. And so I'll try, like right now I'm learning scales from my guitar teacher, Nikki Hines, and so I'll take about 15 minutes and I'll focus on my scales and my circle of fifths. I'm forgetting words and
That's okay.
names and everything. So I'll take about 15 minutes with that, and then I'll focus on other songs that I've maybe written, and focus on the guitar part for them, and then I'll switch over to harmonica.
Awesome. You've got to fit friendships in there too. How do you do that?
Friendships have really helped with jiu-jitsu and schooling. I did a tutorial, classical conversations, for most of my homeschooling years, and it helped because you got together once a week, you made friends, you talked, you had conversations, and that was really nice. And with jiu-jitsu as well, you meet people and you have to roll around with people you don't know, and you just get to know a lot of people. And I have 3 of my really close friends at jiu-jitsu who I started out before them, and they came in, and it was just really nice, because at first when I started, I was just in the adults class. And so once the kids class started, I started being able to find people my own age and really make friends with them and get along. Now we're great.
So with the music industry, I've interviewed some people that have been around for a while on the men's side,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had a couple women on, and there's always that struggle for females to get involved and move forward. You're young. You've been embraced and kind of, I don't want to say protected because I don't think it's protected. You've been really uplifted, I think, from a lot of people. Do you have anybody that has influenced you locally here?
I'd say a lot of the times when I am going out to writers' rounds, playing, or just listening, I really try to listen for those I think could better not only myself as a writer, but myself as a person too. And Carrie Underwood was one of my biggest influences in music, and and with her being a huge instrumentalist, playing the harmonica as well, and guitar and drums now, and singing, and she was just this big influence that always drove me to do more and keep going with it.
Well, she's one of my favorites too, so I kind of like that choice. That's a good choice. The harmonica, how difficult was that?
It's really nice because I was so young when I got it, and I was 6, and it had such a unique pull, I guess, on me, to where I would play it for maybe 2 hours at a time, and my mom would come and she'd be like, okay, we have to stop, you have to do other things. I'm like, oh, fine, 5 more minutes, and she's like, okay, fine. And it really just came, I had teachers, and when we were first in Missouri, I found someone and went to him for a couple months, and he had a music shop. He mostly played guitar, but he knew a little bit of harmonica. And so we went to him for a couple months, and he finally was like, he told my mom, he was like, she's doing stuff nobody her age could. Within the 2 weeks, I was playing single notes and going up and down the scales and playing songs. And within I think 3 months, maybe, I don't know. Not too specific on time. And so we found an organization called SPA, the Society for Preserving and Advancing the Harmonica. And that's where I met my biggest influences of harmonica. Charlie Musselwhite, Charlie McCoy, Buddy Green, and all these amazing players who I could come into this room and everyone knew what it was. Everyone had heard the harmonica, knew the harmonica, and there were just so many people there that I could learn from and connect with in that part of my musical ability, and it just helped to further my growth with it.
Yeah, I must have purchased every broken harmonica out there because mine never sounded like it. I could never make it do that. So I didn't have that skill set within me, which you have, obviously. Where do you think the harmonica is linked in with your songwriting?
The harmonica for me has really helped to identify keys that I'm good with playing at. A lot of times when we write songs, when I write songs or with other people who write songs, I'm writing a song in a key, but I'm not 100% if it's in my voice. And so the harmonica has helped me to find a key and realize if I need to take it up or down, and then realize what key I'm in. Because I play in second position a lot, cross harp, and the correlation between notes and keys has helped tremendously with not only my ear, but seeing it and where it correlates.
So each instrument's kind of playing off of each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the third instrument, which is your voice.
Oh yeah.
And I watch you when you warmed up. You were kind of messing around a little bit. It's a good thing to practice and try new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a 15-year-old, if there's a 15-year-old out there listening right now, what would you tell them if they're just starting out?
I would say learn as much as you can. I mean, when I started guitar, I went to my guitar teacher and he asked, okay, what do you want to learn? What's your specific goal for this? And I was like, everything. I want to learn everything I can to make myself better and more of an asset to others around, even though my big goal is to be on stage and performing for others. You know, just keep going at it. I mean, there are hard times, and there are times where sometimes your fingers won't reach the chord you want, or your hand isn't quite there to that size where it can fit that chord. But, you know, the correlation that I've learned is there are different ways to play a chord, whether it's with a capo or you learn bar chords where your finger just goes over all of them. There are multiple ways to learn and not getting stuck on something that you can't do, and even sometimes going back to something that you can do easily just to kind of get back in that zone of wanting to go more.
So when at the age of, I keep saying 15 because 15 is really young in this town, and 10 years, the 10-year rule kind of puts you at 25, which is real fresh kind of thing. You were kind of tinkering with the song and made me choose. So I'm going to have you play the second song, which is actually one of my favorite songs. But I'm going to have you play the second one, and
right, yeah.
and let's get a little the young vibe.
Yeah. I'm going to slip past you and get a different one.
100%. I'm going to slide out of the way.
love that suntan skin. That's why I'm here again. He makes me feel in this big room I'm the only one and it's just us two. Try to put this wall up 1,000 feet. How does he have a hold on me? So I have to pull my heart back in line. 'Cause I want this feeling to be alive. I'm needing. I don't need him. If I keep thinking that I'm better off alone, and if he calls, ain't gonna pick up the phone, and then maybe I'll convince myself to believe it. So then I'll mean it. And then maybe I'll convince myself to believe it. So then I'll mean it. I 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 don't need him.
Fantastic. So, you've got a lot going on with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully still learning. I mean,
that's a check mark.
That's a check mark.
That's a check mark. Mom's gonna make sure that's a check mark.
But I mean, I really want to see myself doing as much as I can and getting out there and making as many friendships, even more than I have now, and really just getting the experience, on me, playing, writing, everything, and different aspects of recording, playing on stage, being in a studio, singing, and everything like that. Just really getting that experience and getting to know people more.
So you've got 2 songs that you've done. What are the names of those songs?
The first one was Road Trippin' With Me.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that maybe a year ago now with great friends Michael Saletta and Corey Lee Barker. And the second one is my most recent one my second most recent one. I just had a co-write not too long ago. I wrote about a month ago with Michael Saletta and Lauren Vale.
Sweet. So you've got 2 songs that you've co-wrote with at 15. A lot of people at 15 are a little stubborn and they think they can do it by themselves. Do you feel like that collaborating with others has really been a bonus to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are so many ways to write a song nowadays. You have a certain template that most people go off for a country song, and then you have a Christian song, which is a whole different category, and getting other people who understand and have different opinions and different ideas and different takes on those types of structures and songs, and who have been doing it maybe longer than you have, and it's really nice because you get so many different heads and so many great ideas, and you just put it all together to make this really great song.
Well, collaborating with the group is one thing, but a couple things that this conversation has led me to believe is you've got some pretty cool coaching going on too. Your mom is your coaching as far as the schooling side of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's that mean to you?
So my mom teaching me it's really great. I mean, I'm more of an independent studier when it comes to school, but having her there and knowing that she can help with things that I don't understand, or maybe my dad helps me with math all the time because we did college algebra, and like I wasn't understanding it at first, and he came over and like he was helping us through it and like helping us to understand how it worked better.
Right.
And so when you do that, not only with schooling but with music, it makes such a difference in your life and your progress. And it just helps you jump from here to here within that short amount of time of knowing people.
Do you feel like that comfort level that you have in that style of teaching has really aided your advancement?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty flexible person, and like.
Well, you better be in Nashville. You're in Nashville, so and you're jujitsu, so you better be flexible across the board. But go ahead.
But I mean, just hearing people out and understanding that there are different ways to do things that you might not have thought of originally, and
Sure.
being okay to try them out. I mean, at least try them out. And once you try them out, if you find you don't like it, you can go back to your original idea, or you might find you like it better. So yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of unique challenges going on at the same time, and you still have to challenge yourself to do the freak show and get up on stage. What is that like to kind of walk up there? What was it like the first time you had to do that?
So when I started harmonica, I loved it, and I was 6 years old, and I learned the national anthem. And living in Missouri, we had messaged people. We were like, hey, can we do the national anthem? And so I would go out there, and like being on the floor of a stadium, whether it be baseball, basketball, swimming, anything, being there, for me, it was such a real experience, and just it was great to be playing for people. One of my funniest stories, I went and played played the national anthem at a basketball game for Mizzou, and I was maybe 8 at the time. And I walk out there with the microphone in the middle of the court, and I start playing, and I can't hear anything. I'm like, I'm saying in my head, this must not be on. So I turn over to the people who are controlling the microphone, and I go, is this thing on? And at that point, it had turned on, and you could just hear it echo throughout the entire stadium. And it was such a fun experience for me to just have that little laugh in the middle of it. And then I just kept playing, I mean, I think that's a big thing too, to just keep playing no matter what happens.
So, the rule of thumb is keep writing, just write, keep playing. If there's an error, as adults, you're 15, but you're getting there. As adults, sometimes we forget that an error is okay. Mm-hmm. When I played ball, errors were not okay. We didn't like them at all, but we had to adapt and adjust for those errors. You're going to have some errors as you go through this career. Everyone does.
Oh, yeah.
The people that are around you right now, what do you feel right now when you make an error? How did they pick you back up?
I mean, a lot of times when I'm playing, I'll forget the words or something. I'm just kind of like playing there, just with chords and everything. And I'm looking at my mom, I'm making faces. I'm like, words, what are the words? And she'll start mouthing them to me. I'm like, okay, great, got it.
Back on.
Yeah. And I mean, just keeping that music going, no one in the crowd besides like your parents or someone who you did the song with knows that you've made a mistake. And even then, like, maybe you did it on purpose, they don't know. So as long as you keep playing and don't really focus and highlight on the mistake, like, you can do so many things, and mistakes lead to more ideas when you're doing a song. That second song I did, I mean it. I was upstairs in my room and I was talking to myself, and I started singing this little line to this little melody to the words, I mean it. And I come downstairs, my mom's like, "That's really good. What song was that?" I'm like, "It's not one, I made it up." She's like, "Record that." So I did, and just having that, it made me, and writing that song, it made me realize, like, the different takes and ways a mistake can lead to something great.
You know what I find very cool is that you're the sponge. You really are a sponge right now, and you're really trying to just absorb all of the information from everyone that you can, and you're in the midst right now at 15 years old to elevate yourself really, really quickly because of who you are, and that's a really cool thing, because at 15, most 15-year-olds are not doing these types of things. Your friends that you hang around, do they have that same kind of mindset?
A lot of my friends, I mean, especially the ones who do jiu-jitsu, it helps because jiu-jitsu is such a big ego turn down. Like, you really can't have an ego at all when you are rolling with someone who's either your size, or they're heavier, they're lighter and faster, and you really just learn to be okay with not being good, and really focusing on doing the best that you can at the time that you can, on wanting to get better.
That was a mouthful. Okay, so I had to step back for a second, and that just tells me that when you fail, it's one of the things I tell my granddaughters all the time when they fall, and get back up again. So I can tell them flat out, every time they fall down, they just look at me and I say, "Get back up again." And that's kind of the essence of what you're saying to everyone out there. At the point you are in your career, have you fallen down and said, I'm just so frustrated"? Have you done that yet?
There have been, I think, a couple times. I mean, when playing, like, when I first started playing out here at one of my gigs in Murfreesboro, I didn't know a lot of songs, so I was still, like, sort of learning them in my head. And back then I would focus on me, like, making a mistake, or, like, my mom would see it in my face. She'd be like, "When you make a mistake, you just gotta keep rolling with it. Like, don't let anyone in the audience know, because they might think you did it on purpose."
Everybody sees this.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it was just such a thing I had to learn within years of playing, to just be okay and keep going.
Do you ever practice in front of a mirror?
I don't actually.
You should try that. I just out of curiosity, I would love for you to try it, and then text me back and say what you thought of it. Because to me, if you can look at yourself like we look at you, it will change your perception in your mind, and I think you'll advance from it a lot of times. I used to give speeches, so I didn't want to mess up, so I would practice in front of the mirror. It is a completely different concept, and I think you're 100% up for that challenge.
Oh yeah.
I think you got enough giddy up in you to get that done, but I think you're going to have fun with it too. because I think what will happen is I think you're going to explode with your facial expressions, and I think that's another level for you. It's and there's like 6 things or 7 things now that you can master. And I don't want to give you the wrong advice because I don't want you to throw me.
No, yeah.
I'm not into jujitsu, and I might be in trouble. But what's another one of your favorite songs that you have? You said you had 3. I'm gonna let you play another one.
All right.
What's this one about?
So this is called Hey There Blues. I wrote this with Corey Lee Barker and Ava Page, and it's basically talking about someone just got heartbroken and they're in a bar, they're just around, and they're just like, hey there blues. The blues has just come to them because they're such in that mind state, I guess.
Awesome. Go for it.
All right.
Fantastic. So, would you consider yourself a blues singer?
I wouldn't consider me just in that lane. I would say that I'm more a country blues and a mesh type of area, I guess.
Gives you a lot of flexibility, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So if you lock yourself into one genre, it's tough to kind of break out of that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got some real challenges with your music overall because you've got a unique blend. The first song you did was very current, very hip, and kind of on the edge of outside. It's kind of like the poppy side of things,
yeah.
Right? And then you went into the blues at the end, and that middle one, that's right there too. But where is it that you come up with the creative side? How do you decide how that song is going to sound?
Most of the time when I get an idea, I'm thinking on it a little bit before I take it into a co-write, and I'm like, what would I want this song to sound like? And I'll go over like different ways to sing it, and one of my co-writers, Corey Lee Barker, he has such a talent that he can take any song and make it sound a different style. When I wrote Road Tripping with him, he made it sound reggae just by like changing a few things and putting the sound to it. And I mean, I started off listening to country when I was so little and singing to it, but when I started the harmonica, I connected with the blues, and it really opened that gateway to start combining them, sort of like Chris Stapleton or Bonnie Raitt, and really getting that feel and connection to both of them.
Where do you see your music going? I know I asked you about 5 years, but where do you feel like you're gonna go? I mean, you're kind of an interesting conversation to have, because you've got so many different influences happening. But where's it that you truly see yourself going?
I mean, I love performing for people. I love being on the stage and just connecting with them. And I said in an interview one time, like, my music is my way to connect to people, because when I see them getting into it, I get into it. When they see me getting into it, they get into it. And I love just seeing the look on people's faces, and when they're happy or when they're feeling sad or anything. I love either putting them so deep in that mood that they feel such a connection with the song, or changing their mood if they were sad, making them happy just with a song that I wrote. I love seeing people express who they are.
So different people connect with a song differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
You actually see that when you're up on stage. You can watch that interaction, right? So when you see someone that is having maybe an emotional tie to one of your songs, what's that do to you as an artist?
I had this experience once. I was performing at a restaurant in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, and it was in the upstairs area, and I played one of my songs about blanking.
That's okay. So you've had this moment, and truly it's the moment that everybody has on stage, where even now you're trying to think of the moment. It's okay. The fact that you're transitioning someone else into your song, they're adapting to your song, and they're kind of owning it,
Mm-hmm.
aren't they?
Yeah.
So when you see that overall, does that change your performance on stage at all?
I mean, depending on the song, like when I see someone getting so into it, it makes me want to go deeper in my, not only my singing, but my playing as well. And like, it makes me get more into it, I guess. And
You feel attached to them?
yes. It like makes a bond, and music has such that great power to it to connect someone to someone else through this one song. And when you meet each other, you connect and get to learn more about each other through that song.
Do you feel empowered when you play?
Oh yeah, I mean, playing has always made me feel like it was just such a big, I don't want to say adrenaline rush, but it has such a big emphasis on my life that it built me up to get more confident with socializing with people. I mean, being on stage and playing for all these people in a crowd who you don't know, I mean, it makes you realize that when introducing yourself to someone, you're just starting to get to know them.
No, I wish I could like keep you going on that for a minute, because there's so many things that you're throwing out for people who are listening right now that don't know how to say hello. They look down when you talk to them. You make great eye contact during a conversation. That's huge. That's going to get you a long way. Just being able to have that empowering moments for you, they're happening every day. Okay, and the fact that you're taking them all in, and you're kind of recognizing a lot of them as you go along. If not, I think your mom's kind of pointing those out, it's really important to build that foundation for you for later. Okay, there are people in life that walk around and they really don't know how to engage with someone. You're going to be your best marketing person at some point. You are, in fact, you're probably there already, but those types of things that you're paying attention to, the empowerment, the confidence, I mean, you're using all of the key phrases, and you've also put that into the sport. And that's I think it's a cool thing, because women have a difficult time in the music industry, and you know that going in. And I think anytime that you can empower yourself, you can build confidence, you have your educational base, you can just about outposition anybody. I love every time I say that to you, because you get energized, and you smile, you light up the room when I say throw. So I know I'm in trouble if I do the wrong thing. But when you go through all these things, are you truly paying attention to what's happening around you, and to where you're analyzing when you go home?
Oh yeah, I mean, and another big factor that jiu-jitsu played into this, you have to have such a spatial awareness when you're rolling with somebody to make sure, one, they don't get hurt and you're not going to run into somebody who's rolling over there. And so doing that, going into a writer's round, I'd say nowadays I look around the room and I see how people are connecting to the song and seeing the difference between each player and how different they make each person feel in the crowd.
And songwriter rounds, so the freak show is one thing, but songwriter rounds, I consider that there's two different levels there. Okay, so I think one is more of a badge of honor to be at the freak show. That's your badge of honor. Hey, you've arrived, you're here, you're being recognized. Songwriter rounds are fun, they're engaging, I think they're just a different vibe.
Yeah.
Right? So with the songwriter rounds though, tell people what they should experience if they came to a songwriter's round for the first time.
I mean,
through your vision.
Yeah. A lot of times for me, when I'm going to a songwriter's round, it's a good way for me to see how the audience experiences a new song that I just wrote. And a lot of times that's what I'll do. I'll bring my newest songs, or I'll bring my most ones that I've worked on, and I'm not sure how they'll sound to the audience, and I'll bring it. And it's so nice because sometimes, like, you'll have some people who are listening and you'll have some people who aren't. But the ones who are and the ones who aren't, there's a difference in the way they react when you sing a song. Sometimes people are talking to each other and you'll start singing and they'll look over for a second. They'll be like, oh, that's kind of nice. And they'll start, like, looking over more and more and more. And you'll see this song has a good reaction from the audience, and if I keep working on it, it's gonna go places that I want it to go.
Okay, that makes sense. You being able to pick up on what the audience is doing is really a good gauge of a new song, right? It doesn't mean it's a bad song either, because there are times where the crowd, it doesn't matter what you're singing, they're just not paying attention. And what do you do then?
I just keep playing. I mean, a big thing for me being 15 and all, and starting so young, I have my parents with me wherever I go. I mean, I'm starting to drive, but I'm not there yet. Can't drive on the highways.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Not yet.
But, I mean, they'll be there, and no one else is listening, but I know they are. And I know my mom will give me such good feedback when I get into the car. And she'll be like, okay, you sounded great on this part, but I think in this part you can really develop and change your voice and make it sound so different than what you had it before. And even when nobody's listening, I know that she is. And so I still know that I'm going to do my best no matter whether they're listening or not.
So I had the unique opportunity of meeting with a young artist, female artist in Ohio, and she's about your age, and she had a family member who was there before she was, so they all walked in and they all got emotional, and the mom walked in and it was her sister and she got emotional, so this huge amount of emotion is going on, and the girl had to get up and perform. And when she was done, at the end of the night, I told her, I said, you know, I'm going to tell you one thing, and it's the only thing I'm going to say to you. Act like no one's in the room, because the table that's over there that was making you the most nervous, they all love you anyway. And they're going to love you whether you sounded bad or not. So the rest of us, let it go. Just have fun with it. Your attitude too?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, being able to not only recognize when no one is listening and being able to still play with all your heart. I mean, it's such a good thing to understand and keep going with.
So Brandon Bing said his manager told him to always perform. Just play your game. Just be on your game. Just do your thing. Is that a good idea for young artists to listen to, and just hone in on your skill and be the best you can?
Oh yeah, honing in on your skill. I mean, understanding what you can do amazingly and taking it and being great with it. But I think it's not only just keep going with what you're good at. You have to, especially for young artists, expand your range and questions to, well, what if I put this with another thing? Or since I know the ukulele, what if I moved up to guitar, which is what I kind of did. I started with ukulele and 4 strings, and I was like, I kind of want to see how the guitar would feel on me.
Right.
And I found out with doing something new, changing from one skill set that I had to one that would put me in more of a challenged mindset would help me grow in my music and my life, to understand, and I love being challenged. I mean, writing songs, learning how to play them, and putting my own creative twist to them, and having that challenge of doing that has just been great for me.
Awesome. You've got several different ways to, actually you've used several different instruments. Are there different sizes for you at 15 than like what's on the wall? Is there a difference there for you?
Oh yeah. So this is my Taylor GS Mini.
Yeah.
And when we were going to the guitar shop to find me a guitar, my sister played guitar before, and she had this big guitar that she loved to play, and I would sit down and I would have it. I'm like, this is huge. Like, my arms couldn't fit around it. And so when we went to the guitar shop, I realized when I was trying out different guitars, I was like, big guitars don't suit me. I mean, a tinier one that allows me to move more and have this harmonica rack on and everything became such a great option for me for playing. And I mean,
it makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because if you had that bigger guitar, would you feel like you were fumbling around more? Because you seem like very comfortable with this size right now, but of course you're going to grow. Let's hope you don't get too tall.
Yeah.
Towering. But the musical instruments, when you go in and pick them out, there's help for that.
Oh yeah.
But sizing things out and making things feel comfortable for you, that's a big deal too.
And I mean, I have a second guitar at home that I kind of just mess around with sometimes, and it's bigger than this one. And when I'm playing with it, I'm like, I realize that my body and the way I play has such a different feel when you give it a different size of guitar. And so I'm not more comfortable with my elbow more raised with a bigger guitar than I am letting it go down and having a smaller one that I can fit.
And that matters, doesn't it? So it's comfort level. So your mom's got a special request out there. You know that, right? She's holding it up right now. This is the blank screen that she's holding up. But is there a flag? Is it flag? What is it? Finished with blues song.
Okay.
All right, you got it.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Same one? Alright. Hit it blows just in time. Happy hour begins in 5. I got some troubles to lose and some memories to drown.
Fantastic. So I want to thank you for being part of Songwriter Souls. And
yeah, thank you so much for having me.
This has been fantastic, and I can't wait to have you back soon. You've got some really cool stuff happening, and I look forward to getting some really cool updates from you.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely.
We'll be talking more.
Will do. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being part of the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you. This is Songwriter Soul saying thanks, and have a good night.